Welcome to Rome. This is The Bittersweet Life with Katie Sewell and Tiffany Parks. Hello, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell. Tiffany is away this week, but I am joined by Julian Shapiro-Barnum. He's the author of the new book, How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown-Up. He's also the creator and host of Recess Therapy, an online series where he talks with kids about everything from friendship to the meaning of life. And if you are on social media these days, it's likely that you've encountered him talking to some children along the way. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you. How exciting that you have this first book out. Very cool.
I know, who would have thought?
And a
I
super
wrote all those words myself, if you can believe it.
congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And a super entertaining, fun read, especially for the summer because it's funny, so it's entertaining along the way.
Yeah, it's goofy, and then every once in a while I go, let's get really serious. But
Let's
not for too long ever.
Well, you touch on lots of different topics in the book, but we're going to try to cover probably not all of them, but as many as we can in little snippets. But I feel like we have to establish first, what were you like as a child?
Oh boy, I was precocious as all hell. I'll paint a picture. I collected a lot of snails. Well,
Mm.
okay, I'll start here. I was raised in Brooklyn. I was raised by three lesbian moms and two gay dads. So big queer family. And I was a little funny little guy and talked to everybody and only ate chicken nuggets. So that's
Wow.
what I was like. What
So,
were you like?
I mean, what was I like? I was super inventive, I would say, very audio driven, even from an early
Oh, I
age.
see, I see.
I remember very vividly listening to the audio recording of the Romeo and Juliet that came out in the 60s.
Hmm.
I listened to the audio recording on record of that and
Wow.
used to act it out, but not really understanding what was happening. Where I didn't really understand that Juliet stabbed herself. I thought maybe she fell off a cliff. Hard to know.
Yeah, you didn't know the context.
Exactly. But, always creating plays, always creating that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, so with five parents, do you feel like you got more attention than the average kid?
Yes, and more presents than the average kid.
Yeah, I bet that's
We
true.
had a lot of birthday presents. I wasn't spoiled, but I was near the line. No, I'm joking.
Well, let's talk
No,
about.
I had a lot of love as a kid.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Okay, let's talk about how you started interviewing kids in the first place. How does that
Sure.
come about?
Yeah, so I went to Boston University to study theater. I have a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, in acting, and I studied some playwriting too. And while I was there, this thing called COVID happened. If you heard about this. And basically, because of this COVID thing, we couldn't be inside and theater couldn't happen. And so during that time, I got really into interviewing. And I come from like an improv background, a comedy improv background. And so I really got into like this on the street interviewing stuff and was just like doing that honestly like every week. I would go out and film a different video and I would post on my Instagram for my friends to see. It was not really, I wasn't like trying to be a content creator by any means. And then at the end of my senior year, one of the video ideas I had was to interview kids about happiness and ask them like how they found happiness during the pandemic. And I did that video and I put it online. And for the first time ever, more than just my friends watched it. And I went, oh, that was interesting. And I really actually, and I was like, oh, that was really amazing. What the kids said was so actually profound. And I was like, oh my God, there is so much here. I could talk to kids about so many things. And so I started doing that regularly, weekly even. And the whole idea of recess therapy initially was that I, as a young adult, had so many questions about life, and that I could bring kids these questions that I had and see what they had to say about like how you deal with anger or stress about climate change or like is there life on other planets? Like all these things that I was just wondering about. And the things that the kids were saying were just so interesting and profound. And very quickly, other people online started to think so. And
Mhm.
within 6 months, recess therapy was a thing that people knew and loved. It was kind of crazy.
And I think I read in your book that you interview kids from 2 to 9, age two
Yeah.
to nine. Why did you choose those ages?
I think I say in the book, any younger and they're babies, and any older and they're mean to me. But no, I think two is pushing it, but like I have spoken to year olds, but I think like four, older 4 and 5, and
Hmm.
they can really start to articulate what they think. I think like 6, 7, and 8 is like they are so they're filled to the brim with ideas, and they're not self-censoring or overthinking, and they're most importantly not trying to say the right thing.
Hmm.
And that's the age demo that I really just like love. I love getting in conversations with them. They're also just like they share so much. They're like so excited. And if you give them attention, like they're just looking for somebody to listen.
Hmm.
And then after 9, they like really start to be like they start to really like be little adults, and it's very interesting. And of course they're interesting to talk to, but just is it's just a different type of conversation. Like they're really starting to figure out how to be people in a way. They start not wanting to be kids anymore.
Interesting. I don't know if you remember years and years ago a story that went viral about an 8-year-old girl who got gifts
Mhm.
from crows. Does that sound familiar?
Missed it.
You should hear that. Gabby was her name, and she appeared on the show. That story came from here,
Mhm.
and she was exactly like
Uh,
that. Not only was she interested in, environmentalism and the creatures living around her and in the backyard and all that stuff,
mhm.
but it was like that blend of like, here's what I know that is practically true about
Mhm.
crows from a
Yeah.
scientific standpoint, but here's also what I imagine to be true.
Oh,
You
I
know, and
love what I imagined to be true.
yeah, so like
That-
one of the things she had gotten from a crow was part of a necklace. Like if you can picture those heart necklaces where they
uh,
break in half, and
yeah,
she
yeah,
got the
yeah.
side that said best. And she
Uh,
loved imagining that the crow was wearing the
the
friend.
friend.
Yeah.
Ah,
And of course
I
it was a
love
real
that.
possibility. It was out there wearing the friend, and she was the best.
That's so sweet. I, as a kid, would make up facts
Mhm.
because to me they could be true.
Yeah, do you remember any of those facts?
No, but my friend Leo and I had a science book that we'd hold, and we couldn't read it very well, but we could pick out words, and then we'd kind of be like, I think this could say this. And
Mhm.
then we'd kind of tell people that, but it wouldn't be true at all.
I love that. I love that. Okay, well let's start with a kind of like you open the book with kind of big, more like this is the idea that we're going after. And one of
Yeah.
the ways that you start is with the conclusion that adults would be happier if they acted more like kids. Why have you come to that conclusion?
So the whole shtick of the book, can I say that?
Yes.
The whole shtick of the book is like, I think that, and I wish I said this better in the book. This is kind of a conclusion I've come to after finishing, and that sometimes is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's hard to enjoy being a kid as a kid. I think being a kid is just very hard. There's a lot of like, you don't know what's going on. And I think there's this idea that as you get older, it gets easier. And that isn't true. But I think as an adult, you can look back and be like, damn, kids had it good in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one thing to think that, but it's another thing to be like, damn, kids had it good. Oh, actually, I can take some of that goodness into my adult life now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the book is trying to say. The book tries to outline different key things that kids do really well. May it be the way they like love their friends or free themselves from inhibition or use their imagination or blah, 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 like all these different little topics. And I try to show how kids do it so well, and then how adults could, I don't know, like bring that mentality into their lives and allow that to bring some joy and freedom into their day to day is
Mm-hmm.
my hope. But I do genuinely believe that a more childish adult life is a better adult life. I live a pretty childish adult life.
Yeah, one that's full of play and
Yeah.
adventure and
Yes. Always.
making new friends. Okay, one of the first categories, which is about the rules.
Sure.
The rules that the kids are learning all along the way, really, from their parents. But, you point out that most of the rules that we adhere to, and some people adhere to very strongly, depending on your personality, are invented rules. These are rules that
Mhm.
adults invented, and we take them as gospel, but they're not really. They're suggestions, and that kids, of course, are much more willing to break the rules, whether they
Mhm.
know them or not. So, what do you think about the rules and how it holds us back as adults?
My shtick about the rules is that when we're kids, like we're told what to do by adults, and we don't like that. We get told what to do by our parents, by teachers, by other adults in our lives. And adults are the adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we get older, all of a sudden, the adult telling us what to do is ourselves. We start to be that adult and we accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we start to be the parent. We start to be the teacher at school, and yet we don't push back against it. And that's because I think all of a sudden we start to like the rules. And I think what it is that we welcome a certain grouping of rules into our lives that make us feel safe and that we feel like we can exist within. And it's kind of, I think this is like a glorified version of just saying your comfort zone. Like, I think your comfort zone, another way of looking at it is these are the rules that we adhere to. And I think like to be a kid is to break the rules as often and as destructively as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I try to spell it in the book as clearly as possible. Like, don't break rules that hurt yourself or other people. Like, that's not good. Don't do that. But I think in breaking the small rules and the rules we set for ourselves, we expand our idea of who we are. And we expand our idea of what we can do, what we can get away with, who we are, like, or what we know how to do. What like I just think like who you are is bigger than what you tell yourself you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way you get used to breaking those big rules is by like starting to do strange little small rule breaking things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of refer to it almost as if, like, every now and then you, as the adult, will have, like, a little intrusive thought of, like, well, what
Yeah.
if one of the examples you use is, what if I was to just be in this gallery right now and just touch the paint on that painting ever so
Yeah.
lightly? You know, and then, of course, it's an intrusive thought. You don't necessarily do it, but,
No, but it's recognizing that you could.
right, it's recognizing that you could.
I think so much of this book is like just reminding yourself what you could do.
Hmm. Yeah. You might not.
And you don't have to do it because you're an adult and you shouldn't. But like I think we forget to even be aware of our impulses. Like I think we control ourselves too much.
Hmm.
And you forget to even like have the impulse. And not to skip ahead, but like a big part of the imagination chapter in this book is like when kids use their imagination, they immediately play
Hmm.
and they make believe and they take their imagination and they take like they think about playing pirates and then all of a sudden they're running around the playground or they're running around the living room and they're like on a pirate ship and it's so real to them. And why I think this is so powerful is they're completely in the habit of physicalizing their dreams.
Mm.
And as an adult, we can take that even further than just playing pretend. Like if we have the agency and the power to take something that's in our head and make it happen,
Hmm.
but we're not in the habit of doing that. And so that's I think a perfect example of this like A to B thing. Like we can see a kid dream something up and then do it on a small scale. But us in our adult bodies, we can dream something up and then really go out and try it and do it. But we don't because we're not in the habit of doing that. And I think we need to get into the habit of this.
Hmm. Do you have any tips of, like, how you would get into the habit? A first step?
You have to get your imagination moving again because I think we imagine kind of lazy ways.
Hmm.
I think we daydream as adults a lot. We like daydream about like, oh, if I won the lottery, I would do this with that.
Hmm.
But to me, that type of imaginative thinking isn't engaging. It's not activating.
Hmm.
I think starting to use your imagination as like the powerful tool that it is, you have to really like be purposeful with it again.
Hmm.
And in the book, and I'll actually not tell you because you should read it, I spell out like 5 steps on how to get back to using your imagination again. But
Hmm.
you just have to read to find out.
Because it's out
And that's
now.
not because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yes. Yeah, we interviewed a cognitive scientist on this show where we talked about, it was an episode called Vision Boards Don't Work. And it,
That's
because,
interesting.
they've actually proved scientifically that vision boards, if you put a vision board together as, like, because we as adults think, okay, I'll just cut out a bunch of pictures and I'll look at it every
Yeah.
day and that will motivate me to get out there and, like, change my life. But they found that the brain actually registers it as if it's like something you've already accomplished. Like,
Oh,
you've
that's
already
so
seen
funny.
it coming together.
Huh.
And so
Huh.
you're, like, actually less motivated to do it than you would be if you sat down and wrote like, okay, I want to move to Europe, and wrote down like what are the first 5 things I need to do to make that happen.
Yeah, like
Like
an
if you,
action
yeah,
oriented,
if you made the list rather than like putting up pictures to Europe and being like,
like
this is what I want
a
my life to
villa.
look like, you would actually make more progress than you would by putting together a vision board.
Hmm.
Just kind of
I have
interesting.
never made a vision board,
Neither
so
have I. Okay, let's talk about making friends, because you can't open a newspaper these days without reading about the loneliness epidemic, or how
don't
much
I know
COVID
it?
made it so that we don't know how to communicate with each other, or everybody's too hostile with one another online and they don't want to meet anybody in person, et cetera, et cetera. There's like countless articles about it. But you talk about like what the kid approach to loneliness is, and I thought it
Mm.
was worth delving into. So what is the kid's approach to loneliness?
Well, there's a couple of things here, don't you see? Well, okay. I think what kids are so good at is like bringing 100% of themselves to the table immediately. But I think they have a bit of a cheat code there. And that's because to be a kid is to have this like shared identity of childhood. To be a kid and to go to a playground, it is a playground filled with kids who do not know each other.
Hmm.
And yet they are all down to play with each other and be inclusive of each other. And that's because when you are a kid, all you want to do is play and hang out. That goes away when you're a grown up because I don't know, like let me give a better example. If you are a kid and you're at like Target and you're walking around Target with your parent and you run into another kid at Target, all of a sudden you're like the two kids at Target and you might like scamper up to each other and play. And that's because like you have a shared identity of being a
Mm-hmm.
kid. It's the same thing where like if you speak Spanish and you hear somebody else speaking Spanish, you might start speaking Spanish with them. I've had that where I'm in another country and I hear another English speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have that shared identity, it makes it so much easier. And to
Mm-hmm.
be a child is to have this shared identity. It's like so potent. We adults are around other adults. Like we have no reason to connect. Like we don't have an in. And so often not having that in is what keeps us from connecting with each other. And I think that's why we can feel so isolated because we don't know how to break that invisible barrier between us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like taking the lead from kids, I my big advice is like to put yourself in spaces where those barriers are already broken down.
Mm.
Um, like I think just being at a bar or just like those are not good because those are barrier-filled spaces. But like an improv jam or like a rock climbing gym or like places where there is a interest that unites the people to me. This isn't like a groundbreaking thing, but I do genuinely believe in it. And it's something that I have benefited from so many times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of being a kid whenever I'm there, where you're like, oh, do you like this thing too? Oh, you want to play with this together? It
Mm-hmm.
like immediately connects you with somebody else.
I wrote this on multiple pages when I was reading your book, is like one thing that kids don't seem to have, or and maybe you know better because you interview kids on a regular basis, but what they don't seem to have is what adults so often dread, which is small talk.
Oh yeah, I said that in the book. I say kids never talk about the weather.
Yeah, there's no like gardening chat or whatever,
No,
as you're getting to know each other.
they just get right into it.
And
They say exactly who they are. I also think another thing on the friendship topic is like kids don't drip feed who they are. They like say exactly they act like themselves immediately, and in turn, they like have nothing to hide. There's no parts of their identities that like come out slowly or that are left that they are like oh I really I have to I don't know they don't hide any parts of themselves and I think in that if they don't like each other that's fine and they move on.
mm-hmm.
um I feel like so often adults like are really careful when they meet each other to really share who they are.
Yeah, that's true. But it does bring up the question about what about like kids can be kind of cruel to each other
Kids are
too.
so mean to each other
Yeah.
all the time.
Right. So what are we supposed to take from that?
But that's just humans.
We were
I don't
just
know. I don't have. I, I, I feel like in every chapter I have like one or two lines where I go, but also they can suck. And I feel
yeah.
like that's my solve for that.
One of my favorite stories that you tell in the book is under the section where you're talking about how in touch with their emotions kids are.
Uh-huh.
And you tell a story about getting into a fight with a stranger while you're riding your bike. And I feel like you simply must tell that story. I think
Sure.
our listeners are going to
Here,
love it.
I'll tell the true version of it that didn't 100% make it into the book.
Okay.
The true version of that story is that I got into this like I'm like can be a very reactive person. The context for the story is that I think that kids are very in touch with their emotions. They feel them very big and immediately, and in turn they're able to let them go. Adults hold on to their emotions, they
Mm-hmm.
control them, and in turn they sit with them for a lot longer. This story in the book is an illustration of feeling your emotions fast and furiously, and then how they do really go away after that. So I was biking home from breakfast in Brooklyn one day, and this like this like 60-year-old dad guy biked past me and like totally like kind of cut me off and like flipped me off or something. I don't know what happened, but we like got into a fight. And I'm biking down the street, and this guy and I are just like yelling at each other. And he is really getting my goat. Like I am so furious at this guy. I like couldn't even believe him. He was being so inflammatory to me. We were just yelling at each other biking down the street. And eventually I was like, there's nothing else to say. And I squeeze the brakes and I fall back, but we keep biking the same direction.
Yeah.
And we're still going the same way. And eventually I'm like, I'm actually completely over it. I'm not angry at this guy at all. And I kind of want to talk to him. And so I bike back up next to him and I go, Hey, I'm sorry about that. Are we good? He was like, Oh, yeah, we're fine. And we ended up talking for like 20 minutes. We ended up biking for like a mile and a half together and just talking, chit-chatting about our lives. And like, we got the fight out of the way. And then we were like, literally, no issue, no beef, nothing, and we shook hands and parted ways. And it was like this really crazy experience. And then the secret kicker to the story is that I got a DM on Instagram that was like from a stranger that was like, "Hey, I saw you like screaming at this guy on your bike. Hope everything's okay." And I was like, "Shoot, I can't do that." I was like, "That's a
You're
bad look." But that's happened
recognizable.
before. I once got into a really big fight at an ice skating rink with a guy, and now we're really good friends. Like I like sometimes think that succumbing to emotions, as long as that reaches a resolution, is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Plot twist.
you also point out that if adults acted like kids, because their emotions can roller coaster up and down throughout a day
Yeah,
insanely, and
yeah,
if we were doing that all the time, it would seem kind of nuts.
yeah. We can't do that.
But I thought it was a really great illustration of how like sometimes you just can't hold stuff in, or you shouldn't hold stuff
No, you
in.
just have like sometimes it hurts you to hold it in. I think.
But I think
I
it's
think you
also
just
a
got
great illustration of you and your character and your curiosity too, because
it.
you get through this fight and then, as you're riding behind this guy, you start thinking like, who is that guy? And
Yeah,
like,
I was like, oh, I can't. I was like, if he had turned off, it would have gone away. But I was like, I gotta know what's his story.
yeah.
Who is this gentleman who is so willing to just like scream at me a second ago?
Well, and I think that is like, even though I don't think you mentioned this in the book, I think that is a youthful energy. Like that,
Hmm.
I think that is a quality that keeps people seeming younger even as they're
Yeah,
older.
yeah.
That desire to find out, to be
Hmm.
curious, to find out what's going on, to look a
Hmm.
little deeper at things.
Hmm.
I mean, you also say that the way that kids process emotion is like meditation. And
Yeah.
everyone listening to this show knows that my New Year's resolution is to learn to meditate a bit.
How's that going?
So far, so good. I went away for the weekend, and so I've had a hard time getting started again this week. But I am on the trail to doing it.
Did you agree with my read on that in terms of like thoughts and letting them come and go?
Yes, that you're supposed to like let a thought rise and be like, it's just
Yeah,
a thought, and let it move on. Yeah, but
that's how I
I
feel
mean,
like kids
explain
are.
what the illustration is like of how kids process emotion and what that has to do with meditation.
With emotions, like sometimes I'll have like adults have a big emotion. It's like this whole like rigmarole of like, oh, I can't. I wish I wasn't so upset about that. Why is that affecting me? I think there's a lot of like processing the experience of having a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows I that's my therapy sessions, but I feel like the way I see, especially young kids, it's like, or even like a baby will like sob for like a minute or like a second, for like 10 seconds, and then laugh and then move on. And it's like the speed of thought. it like comes in, it leaves. It like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a passing idea, their emotions. And I think that level of emotional elasticity is like truly like aspirational and like kind of impossible, but like is maybe something to admire as an adult and work towards emulating even in a small way.
Yeah, because we are so trained to like keep it together.
Yeah, because then you just
Keep it
like it
together.
doesn't go away.
Yes.
It builds, I think.
And we're going to pause here and take a brief break. And remember, if you don't want to hear ads in your listening, consider supporting the show at the new $3 a month level. That way, you'll hear ad-free shows all the time.
Imagine one of your friends, someone you really like to spend time with, calls you up and says, "Want to come to Rome with me?" Not only that, she says, "I'm going to plan everything. All you have to do is book your flight. I will find us an amazing hotel to stay in. I will plan every single day out to make sure we see some of the most incredible sights in the city. I'll make sure we have a knowledgeable tour guide to take us around and explain the amazing things that we're seeing. I'll organize a rooftop aperitivo with a view of the city at sunset for our first night. I'll arrange a meal. I'll even get us a chauffeured car to drive us into town from the airport. All you have to do is show up." What would you do? Would you jump at the chance? That is what Katie and I are offering. We like to think that we are, in a way, your friends. We hope that if you listen to this show, that means you'd like to spend time with us, you enjoy our company. And we are offering something really special that we believe is different from any other organized trip to Rome that is out there. It is 6 days of exploration, discovery, history, beauty, joy, pleasure in an amazing location, one of the most beautiful hotels in the city. And we go deep. We're not afraid to go deep. We will take you every single day of the trip on a 3-hour walking tour that will delve into some of the mysteries, and we'll introduce you to some art and some artists that you probably wouldn't have discovered on your own. We'll take you to areas of the city that will feel like you're in a small town. You won't feel like you're in the crowded, bustling city that you might see on social media, but rather you'll be walking down narrow cobblestone alleys that only the locals know about. We will share with you all of our favorite restaurants, bars, cafes, and ice cream shops. We will spend a couple of really memorable meals together. And most importantly, we'll get to know each other with the backdrop of this amazing city.
It was just one of the best weeks I can recall. It was a week of education and pleasure, of course. Tiffany, extraordinary guide, knowledgeable. Oh my God, it's unbelievable what you keep in that brain of yours. And then Katie always does such a wonderful job of things. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was just a great week.
This was really an amazing week. I really feel like we got to see so many things that most tourists probably don't see in Rome. All the little secret places, so much history, and just so much depth of knowledge. Our hosts, Tiffany and Katie, are really amazing, and their knowledge of Rome is amazing. And even beyond the tours, we got a whole booklet of great places to eat, great places to see, walking tours. It was such a fantastic trip, and I'm just so glad I came.
I came on this trip not knowing what to expect at all. It's exceeded my expectations by a million miles. Took me by surprise about how emotional and how fun it was. And I met such a group of lovely people, and we had a great time all together, and I highly, highly recommend doing this trip.
I've had the most special week here in Rome, and I really think it is very attributable to Tiffany and Katie. I think the magic of this trip was the fact that you had the two women who are just fantastic at what they do, we have Katie, who I like to think of as the glue, right? She brings this thing together. She's also the oil. Like she's the one that makes no friction, right? Things flowed smoothly. She was able to make sure everything happened in a flawless manner. And her partner here, Tiffany, is just magnificent at weaving a story. So not only does she talk about the dates and the people and the painters and the different talented artists that here in Rome, she's able to give you a story around them and really evokes real images of what that situation was like, how those people created those things, in what years, and what things were going on in those times. So I think it was quite the magical week.
If that sounds like something you're interested in, it's happening the first week of November this year, 2026. Email us at bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com if you want to know more. We will be happy to answer all of your questions. And you can also visit our website, thebittersweetlife.net, which has a lot of additional information. We only have 4 rooms left on this trip because it's a very, very small, intimate group. Don't be surprised if by the end of the trip, not only have you gotten to know Rome extremely well, but you might have some new friends too. So get in touch with us soon. We can't wait to take you to Rome.
And we're back. We're running out of time, so I have to touch on positivity about hard things, because there's a lot of challenging things right now.
Oh, yeah.
The economy, climate change, whatever you want to pick. There's countless things. But what is a kid's approach to solving the world's hard problems? Because I feel like as adults, we're like, I'm not sure what to do about this.
Yeah, this is the last chapter I wrote in the book. I couldn't write this chapter. I knew I had something to say, and I had a whole other version of it that I deleted and then rewrote. And I think I kind of like was able to boil it down to this. To be an adult is to look at the world's problems and think I can't do anything to change it. I think to be a kid is to look at the world's problem and be like, oh my God, I can change everything. And they really feel that way. Young kids feel very capable. I think that's because adults train them to feel that way. Raise them to feel that way. That's not entirely realistic, sure. But I think when it comes to doing nothing or doing something small, I really think that the small things can add up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we all believed that the little things meant something, that mentality, feeling like we all had an onus to do small things, to me can blossom into communal action, feeling empowered. That small thing can lead to big things.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it with kids. And I see it with my friends who do it well. Like, my sister runs a mutual aid group in Bed-Stuy, and it started so small. It was just like giving out beef patties. And now it's been 5 years, and it's like this whole organization, and they like give out hot meals and clothes, and it's like 3 times a week. It's amazing. I feel like daring to believe that you can make a difference, even if it is small, is like the brilliance of kids on this one.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I was just thinking I would have been outside of your interview age group, but when I was a middle schooler, I got super interested in environmentalism.
Yeah.
And I remember just making my own flyers and taking them around the neighborhood and dropping them into people's mailboxes that said, if you have a question about recycling or about whatever that you don't want to research, just stick it in my parents' mailbox and I'll research it for you. And and I remember some guy like writing to me being like, can you tell me like the cumulative impact? It was like a horrible math problem for a poor middle school student. The cumulative impact of me riding my bike to work every day. And so you had to like figure out what his mileage is and like all this stuff. Or some other person asked me what PET plastics means, PET plastic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure any of these people could have looked it up. But what's moving about it is that they were like, oh, this kid's trying to like do something. So I'm going to respond and have them answer a question for me rather than me looking it up.
I feel like we would have been friends. I feel like that was the vibe I was on as a kid.
Totally. We would have been friends for sure. Okay. Why do you think kids are always able to see beauty? Adults sometimes lose that ability.
I think to grow up, I hate this. Growing up, I was always told that I would become like jaded, and I never believed it. And I'm not, but also like am more than I was when I was a kid, you know? And I think that just is life. But I think like kids just aren't. They like are so genuinely excited by things. Like a chapter that, or like a section that didn't make it into the book that I liked was I wrote a whole section about kids on weekends. I think I have like a sentence about it now. Kids are so sluggish. Weekends and after recess, it's like kids are so sluggish during class and during the mornings, and then it's like second it's recess, they have so much energy.
Yeah.
6 a.m. on a Saturday, they have so much energy. It's like they are filled with this kinetic quality about the things that they want to do. Like they have so much energy reserve for such random that they care about so deeply. I think that's just because they're so excited about life all the time. That's just sick. And I think it gives some funny examples of like things that kids really like that are random and weird. But like you also just see it. I don't think this is in the book, but just like I love seeing kids in the rain without any rain jacket on, like soaking wet, like they have nothing in their pockets. Like they're just so happy. Like I think kids are able to enjoy life because there's just like less they're not responsible. Like if they're soaking wet, their parents will put on another change of clothes. If they fall asleep in the back of the car, they'll be carried inside. Like they just have less worry, and that's so nice.
That is so nice. Okay, we have to touch briefly on work too, because
Sure.
work drags adults down sometimes. Not everybody, not me, but it's funny you talk about like the kids' approach to work, and of course, I can still very much remember how I felt about certain jobs when I was a kid. Like, for instance, I used to think as a kid, I used to think that the two jobs that would be the most fun in the world to have would be either a bus driver,
Sure.
especially a school bus driver,
Sure.
and secondly, to be a checker at a grocery store. Like, I thought those two jobs
Uh,
would be just awesome. And sometimes as an adult, I will admit, I can't not ask people who are doing those jobs, like, is this the most fun job you've ever had?
mhm.
And too often they say, no,
Yeah.
no, it's no fun at all. And I still, there's a part, the kid part of me inside me still doesn't believe it.
Mhm.
Really? I mean, you pick people up, you drop them off. That's not like
That
a
sounds
total
fun.
blast. But I mean, what do you find when kids talk about work? Because the number one question people ask kids is like,
What do you
what do
want
you
to do
want to
when you
be
grow
when you
up?
grow up? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, kids just like are so excited about work. I think it just represents getting to do what they love every day. And they talk about their job. They have such like crazy multi-hyphenates that they dream up. And I don't know. I think my point in the book in this chapter is just like remember that crazy dream job you had when you were a kid. Or maybe my point is more your job doesn't have to be your passion, but you should have a passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because like kids do have a passion. They have like a thing that gets them like maybe it's like drawing or it's like something small, but like they have that thing that drives them, and like their job is going to school or something, and that's their like slog, that's their day to day. But they have that other thing that just like rocks. And I think just like seeing how a passion can light up a kid is just so inspiring. But yeah, I don't know. They also that whole chapter is fun because it's all about me having a kid watch me do my job and
Yeah.
seeing my boring job through the eyes of a kid and seeing how cool my dumb looks through their eyes. Uh, the kids love boring adult stuff. It's exciting to them. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you can look at your work through the eyes of a kid, it won't seem so boring.
You do have a very youthful energy. I'm sure you've heard that from people, right? I mean, I know you're also not an old man, but you
No,
are
I'm
a very young
27 last
man
week.
still.
Whew.
27 last week.
I'm
27.
a week ago I was turned 27.
27's a great age. So I mean, so yeah, you still you're 27. You still have a super youthful energy. But is this you, or does some of this come from engaging with children on a regular basis? Maybe it's hard to tell.
I think it definitely is me, but I think I'm drawn to like I don't think I could do this if I didn't have this, but I also feel like I feed off of it. Like I love it. Like I'm so excited to play with the kids and like hang out with them and chat with them. And I think they see that in me. Like somebody was like, I know you're not a kid, you're like a bigger kid or something. They've said funny stuff like that to me, but I feel like they give me so much. all the time. But I say this at the end of the book, like I feel like I kind of got what I needed from recess therapy, and now I have a new show, Celebrity Substitute. It's like a very different vibe. I feel like recess therapy was very much like me being like, help me figure out how to grow up. And now Celebrity Substitute is very much like giving back to schools and working with kids. And the tone of recess therapy has changed. I think I'm less of the kid I was when I started it. I feel like more like I know who I am more. And that's been like a cool experience to like grow up with the show. And this book feels like the embodiment of that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like this is almost like the report on how it went. For
Yeah,
like
I like did it.
Yeah, you did it. No,
this was the thing.
But now maybe you're gonna move on. Like maybe this
Yeah.
will be like this was the chapter, and now you're on to
I
something
gotta
else.
write a book about I'm doing a late night show now, so I gotta write a book about that.
There you go. There you go. I mean, I was watching some of your videos yesterday, and one final thing I kind of want to touch on is like you have AOC on with you and another kid in one of your clips. And one of the moments
I love that interview.
I know. And one of the moments I love the most in that interview that you shared with the rest of us, because I'm sure it was a much longer thing, is you ask AOC a question and the little kid starts to answer.
That happens a lot.
I mean, if that's not the embodiment of what it is to be a kid, you guys are all on an equal playing field as far as that kid is concerned, It's not like we have an important politician here,
No,
and this other guy.
I was like, AOC, what do you think about this? Was it Malachi answered or Kiara?
I think it was Kiara. I think it was Kiara. Yeah.
It was so funny. Yeah, I love moments like that. And AOC was like, should totally let them fly with it. It's so sweet.
But I love that confidence, like that because we start to feel like we're not on an even playing field with each other. And I love that confidence of like, we're all just sharing ideas here, and why would I not offer mine?
Exactly.
It's really, really lovely. All right. Well, is there any like last thought you want to leave people with besides the fact that you should pick up a copy of How to Grow Up Without Becoming a Grown Up by Julian Shapiro-Barnum, which is out now, just out now. It's brand new.
Heyo, check it out. No, I thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I appreciate you chatting with me about it, and it was wonderful to meet you.
Yeah. And is there anywhere you want? We can put links in the show notes, but is there anywhere you want people to find you these days? Late night shows?
Check me out on my Instagram, Julian MSB. And if you want something that is completely different, I have a new late night show that's out called Outside Tonight. There's no children in that at all. Or check out Celebrity Substitute, which is my other kids show, or Recess Therapy if you want the OG.
Okay.
I make too many things. I love them all.
Never enough. Keep going. All right, well, we'll leave it there. And until next time, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell. We'll talk to you next week. Bye. If you love this show, support it. For as little as $5 every month, you get to hear 2 bonus episodes and even say hello during upcoming meetups online. That's every month for as little as $5. Visit thebittersweetlife.net and click support to explore ways to pitch in to keep this show you love on the air.